And you thought last night was fun? Tonight, another duel of aces. Ricky Nolasco and Cliff Lee. Nolasco's 3-0. Lee, one of baseball's best strikeout artists. Ricky's got a big-time curveball. Lee's calling card a cutter. There are still two more aces in the deck. Marlins and Phillies tonight. Another one of those nights here. Picture perfect weather and a great matchup as well. The Marlins and the Phillies finished the three-game series a game apiece. Last night, Roy Halladay. Tonight, Cliff Lee. The Fish, the Phillies have played 4 times this year. Ricky Nolasco gets his first start against the Phillies. And the Marlins and Phillies have split those 4 games. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. What a night it was last night. Josh Johnson, Roy Halladay, a 1-run win for the Fish.
Rich, it lived up to the billing, and last night you said there are pitching matchups and there are pitching matchups. You could say the same thing tonight with Ricky Nolasco and Cliff Lee going at it. Runs at a premium. The Marlins were able to scratch out a run in the 8th. And a guy that did a lot of scratching last night, and his bat is coming along, is Chris Coghlan. Well, great at bat by Chris Coghlan. It was his second hit of the game, but it really was at a moment when the Marlins needed it most. It was in that 8th inning. This was earlier in the game where he got his 2-base hit, a hustle double, sliding into second base. Head first. He's 5 for 13 now in his career against Roy Halladay. Didn't hit this one all that hard. A 93-mile-an-hour cutter, but dropped it into center, driving in Infante. That was the go-ahead run. Chris Coghlan had some good swings against a tough pitcher. You like pitching? We got terrific pitching again tonight. Ricky Nolasco against Cliff Lee. 2 very different styles, but guys with low walks, high strikeouts. 2 guys who throw strikes and strike out a lot of guys. Cliff Lee, the #1 starter in the major leagues, strikeouts to walks. He won a Cy Young in 2008 with Cleveland. Ricky Nolasco has 12 double-digit strikeout games. You know what? Cliff Lee only has 13. Who would have thought? So Ricky Nolasco and Cliff Lee, you'll see them throw a lot of strikes and attack the strike zone. We may see the hitters approach these 2 guys the same as they approached J.J. and Halladay last night. There was a great atmosphere in the ballpark last night as well. We set the stage for the finale of this 3-game series. Marlins and Phillies, Ricky and Cliff Lee. Three-game series. Let's start things with Frank Fort, Jeff Conine.
All right, thanks very much, Rich. Jeff Conine, of course, was one of the Marlins contingent that went over this offseason to Southwest Asia and Germany to visit troops, and as such, he became keenly aware of the people that serve in the military and what happens when they come back, and some of them, are in desperate straits. So they asked you, along with several other Marlins, to take part in this picture-taking for the boot campaign, and I'm sure it's something you're happy to do, particularly after learning about the people who serve in the military as closely as you did.
When we went over there, it was pretty much a life experience, and we get to talk to your service members that are protecting your country abroad. It takes on a whole different meaning of what the military does and what they're all about, and to help those guys when they come back was a no-brainer for all of us.
So Jeff, along with Andre Dawson, Chris Volstad, Gabby Sanchez, and John Buck, took time during this homestand for a photo shoot for the boot campaign, started by 5 Texas women whose husbands were involved in Operation Red Wing. 19 members of Special Forces died in that mission in Afghanistan. The boot campaign selling military-style boots to the American public to raise money for veterans groups. We talked to John Buck about that cause.
Getting to go over there and go, live through some of the experiences I got to live through and see, and kind of have an eye-opening experience of what these guys go through, all the men and women, and makes you so grateful. You get a cool pair of boots and get to take a couple photos and see what it does to help support the troops and stuff. It's very easy to volunteer and get the opportunity to.
And if you want to get involved and purchase those boots to help out veterans groups, go to www.bootcampaign.com. Operation Red Wing, great book that was written by the only survivor called Lone Survivor, Marcus Luttrell. You've read it. You say it's a great read.
It really is a great read, and unbelievable story, and you realize how important this program really is.
All right, so support the boot campaign if you can. It is certainly a worthy cause for our returning veterans coming back home from overseas. Up next, it's Cliff Lee, Ricky Nolasco, final game of this 3-game series against the Phillies here at Sun Life Stadium. Rich Waltz and Tommy Hunt with the call coming up next.
Brought to you by Toyota, moving forward, by AT&T, by All Your Cooling, today's comfort, yesterday's prices, and by Florida Power and Light. FP&L is working to make its system stronger, smarter, cleaner, and even more efficient. Visit FP&L.com to learn more. Well, the weather on this homestand has just been incredible. Great shot of downtown Miami. Of course, the Marlins will be down there next year. last season here in Sun Life Stadium. The Phillies have made this their home over the last couple of seasons. Their batting lineup looks this way. Jimmy Rollins at short. Shane Victorino is in center. Placido Polanco at third base. Ryan Howard at first. Raul Ibanez, the Miami product, in left. Ben Francisco, his second straight start in right. Brian Schneider started game 1, and he's back in game 3 behind the plate. Wilson Valdez, his first start of the series, and Cliff Lee hits 9th.
Pretty amazing as you look at the numbers on Ricky Nolasco that last year he faced the Phillies just one time, but it was back on April 17th in Philly. A complete game 5-hitter, gave up just 1 run. Ricky's off to a good start, 3-0, trying to make it 4-0. He's had 12 career double-digit strikeout games. He had his 12th his last time out, struck out 11 Nationals.
Jimmy Rollins stands in. Rollins, the shortstop of the Phillies. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Tim Timmons calling balls and strikes. Rollins opened this series with a bang, a homer to right. And since then, he's 3 for 10. Here's the 0-1. Velasco misses up. Rollins, Victorino, and Polanco. Last night, both Rollins and Victorino had a base hit against Josh Johnson. There's the curveball and a foul ball. It's 1-2.
You and I talk about it a lot, Rich. The early signs for Ricky Nolasco. Always good to see him drop that curveball sharply in the strike zone, spot his fastball.
Nolasco, 28, out of Rialto High School. Grew up in that Southern California era. A Dodger fan. Down goes Rollins.
And then take a little bit off that curveball every once in a while. That one a little slower than the one before. That's what gives Ricky the success that he's had. He takes a little off. He adds to the fastball. He'll take some off the split. That's just a good pitch to get Jimmy Rollins.
So here comes Victorino. John Buck and Shane Victorino had a little conversation last night after the ball game. There was a bit of a collision at first base between Victorino and Leo Nunez. And Buck, who knows Victorino, had an amicable chat with him. There were no hard feelings between the two. They are friends, and you could see as Victorino came to the plate, both had big smiles on their faces.
Yeah, they are friends. They also both play the game correctly, play it hard.
Nolasco 0-1 to Victorino. Squibbed off the end of the bat. Victorino has not had much success against Nolasco individually. A 174 average. Here was the end of last night's ball game as Buck came off the mound. I think Victorino and just wanted to make sure Buck knew that he did not try to bump Nunez as he came across first. 0-2 pitch coming. It's outside. Leo Nunez had no issues with it.
Yeah, it was almost like Victorino was holding his hand up to brace himself so there wouldn't be a nasty collision.
1-2. On the ground. Gabby has it. 2 down.
The continued sure hands from Gabby Sanchez, Bonifacio, Coughlin, and Stanton in that outfield. Wes Helms with the start tonight. Gabby with 1 error. Infante with just 1 error on the right side of the infield. And there's John Buck behind the plate.
Here is Polanco. Since Ricky only faced the Phillies once last year, Polanco doesn't have a lot of at-bats against him. He is 0 for 4 in his career. But having a tremendous season. See the batting average, on base percentage up there. Goes after that fastball, and that one shot right into the Marlins dugout.
John Maley just getting out of the way.
Boy, Maley, got to keep him off the DL, the Marlins hitting coach. Remember last year he tore a bicep muscle lifting a ramp on the pitching mound.
You know, Ricky didn't throw a first pitch strike here, but he's 7th in the major leagues in first pitch strikes. He threw first pitch strikes to Rollins and Victorino.
Big curveball almost came far enough to get a strike. Instead, it's 2-1.
See, and I think that's a strike, but most of the time that high breaking ball isn't going to be called a strike.
2-1. Hit well to right. Stanton in pursuit. Mike makes a running catch. Nicely done by Mike Stanton. Nicely done by Ricky Nolasco. Here comes Cliff Lee.
Oprimiendo el botón del zap.
Smile pretty. Here come the fish. Marlins at 21-14. Chris Coghlan leads it off in center field. 5 hits in this series. Emilio Bonifacio still hitting second. Hanley's got 3 hits in the series. Gabby Sanchez in the cleanup spot. John Buck has hit well against Cliff Lee, and he's elevated to the 5 position. Mike Stanton slides to 6th. Former Philly Wes Helms, Philly for a year, is at 3rd base. Omar Infante is at 2nd. And Ricky Nolasco hits 9th against 32-year-old Cliff Lee.
I'm sure a lot of the right-handed hitters touch base with John Buck about facing Cliff Lee. A lot of fastballs, a lot of strikes, and you'll see that from the 2008 Cy Young Award winner with the Cleveland Indians. He was 22-3 that year.
And he works quickly. Fastball comes in on Coghlan and pulls it foul. He is a notorious strike thrower. We talked about just the 7 walks, 60 strikeouts. That's 3rd in the National League. Tim Lincecum and Roy Halladay both pitched last night. That pushed them ahead of Lee. 0-2. Breaking ball. Coghlan was on it. He pulls it in his shallow right. Nice play by Valdez. Moving to his left. And there's 1 out.
Well, we've seen this defense the last 3 nights. It leads the league, but it made a big error in the game. Ibanez, Victorino, and Francisco. Jimmy Rollins booted that ball in the 8th inning. Wilson Valdez, the second baseman. How about Ryan Howard has 41 consecutive games without an error. Brian Schneider, veteran, behind the plate.
There was a time when Ryan Howard couldn't go 41 consecutive chances without an error. Here's Emilio Bonifacio. He's made great strides defensively, and Bonifacio takes a strike.
Cliff Lee leads all major league starting pitchers in strikes to walks ratio.
Bonifacio swings and misses.
Our scouting report brought to you by Metro PCS. He's a K machine. Lay off the high heat. He likes to tantalize you up there. And a lot of cutters. It's amazing how a guy can strike out 16 yet give up 9 hits and 3 runs in 7 innings. That's what Lee did his last outing.
Bonifacio's chopper is foul. just wide of third. The problem for Cliff Lee this year hasn't been on the mound. The problem has been his teammates haven't scored runs for him. The Phillies just haven't supported him, especially in his last 3 starts. Charlie Manuel's bunch has mustered 1 measly run in Cliff Lee's last 3 starts. You can see the run support. He and Hamels near the bottom of the list. Bonifacio barely got a piece of that, and he stays alive.
Charlie Manuel will be the first to tell you. I know you and I have both had a chance to talk to him this series, that his offense right now isn't near what he expects it to be.
No, he would obviously is awaiting the return of Carlos Ruiz, who's a great on-base guy. Chase Utley, who is Chase Utley. There's a backdoor breaking ball and a beauty from Cliff Lee.
The 2 pitches that are real hard to distinguish with Lee, I think that was the slider, are the slider and the cutter. There's only maybe 3 or 4 miles an hour difference.
You can see, just looking at Fox Tracks, a couple of those pitches that were out of the box were called strikes. And so right now Cliff Lee is expanding the strike zone of Tim Timmons.
Yeah, and hitters beware.
Now Hanley Ramirez goes after the first pitch and fouls it off. Hanley 3 for 7 in the series. Last night, an infield single in 3 trips, a couple hits in game 1. But his average, his slugging percentage, all of those numbers, not where Marlin fans or baseball fans are used to seeing. They're used to seeing Hanley Ramirez near the top of the hitting charts.
Well, he's won a batting title. He's a career 300 hitter.
1-1. Hanley drives it left center field. That's deep. Victorino back, looking up. It is gone. Hanley Ramirez, and the Marlins lead it 1-0.
There's that slider that didn't quite get in far enough, and Hanley made Cliff Lee pay. Here's the slider. The target's way in, but it stays out. See Schneider reaching for it. Hanley was able to put a nice charge into it. Home run number 2 on the year for Hanley Ramirez. Oh, what a good sign.
Gabby Sanchez now. Lee comes after him with a fastball for a strike. Sanchez, a homer and 3 RBIs in this series.
Cliff Lee's given up 5 home runs now this year.
That's one of the similarities between these 2 pitchers, Lee and Nolasco. They'll throw early strikes and they will give up some home runs. So Lee has given up 5 so far. Nolasco has given up 6 this year. Just 2 runs allowed in the first inning of his 8 starts. Gabby rolls it up the middle. Valdez, quick flip on to first. Marlins are on the board. A Hanley Ramirez home run. And the duel continues. Last night, JJ and Halladay. Tonight, Nolasco and Lee. And the Marlins draw first blood.
Well, I give those guys a lot of credit on an 80-degree evening. Might have to break those out a little bit in Washington, D.C. and New York.
They've got ties and sweater vests.
Yeah, looking good, guys. Looking good.
Hanley Ramirez pumping one in the seats. The Marlins a 1-0 lead. It is an email Twitter Wednesday as Ryan Howard stands in and Ricky misses up high with a fastball. Howard, Ibanez, and Ben Francisco. Last night with that matchup, we decided to push emails and tweets to tonight. Breaking ball from Nolasco misses down low. Howard, 3 hits in this series, a homer, and his homer against Josh Johnson in the 2nd inning last night. He drove one out to left field.
Good high heat from Ricky. What you want to see, Rich, tonight from the home plate umpire Tim Timmons is the same strike zone both ways. Because I think you're an umpire, you know you have pitchers who throw strikes. In that 1st inning combined, they threw 27 pitches between Ricky and Lee, 21 strikes.
3-1 to Howard.
All you ask for is the same zone as the other guy has.
Howard has homered 3 times against Nolasco in 23 at-bats. 3 of his 5 hits against Ricky have gone out of the yard, and Nolasco, a leadoff walk to Howard. Just the 8th walk for Nolasco this year. All right, here's how you get a hold of us. FoxSportsFlorida.com. Click on the Marlins link, scroll down, and there you go. You can email the booth there. Or if you want to follow us or submit a question on Twitter, at FS Marlins. The crack staff combing through all the questions tonight. Here is Raul Ibanez. And our first email tonight is from South Carolina. Seneca, South Carolina. It's from Sean. Wanting to know, since we moved email Tuesday to Wednesday, did the crack staff save the emails from last night, or do you need to resubmit them? Crack staff cleared the deck last night, so send your questions in tonight. Ibanez takes a breaking ball for a strike. We have another question about Logan Morrison. First off, wanting to know how is Lomo doing. Secondly, when Lomo comes back, if Hanley is struggling, would the Marlins think about putting Lomo in the 3 spot in the order?
Well, first of all, Lomo had a couple of hits, a home run, 3 RBIs today. He's ready to go. I'm sure we'll see him Friday night in Washington, D.C.
Back to Ricky, on to Hanley Ramirez, and the turn is in time. Nolasco doing a nice job, and Ibanez turns into 2 outs.
I love the way Ricky Nolasco got his feet set and fielded that ball so he can make a good throw to second base. Look at that. He fields it off to the side. There's the perfect throw to Hanley. Plenty of time to get the 1-6-3 double play. It's all about the footwork.
Ben Francisco now, who is starting in right field. Nolasco misses up. Center field, Coughlin. And a nice clean inning for Nolasco in the 2nd. Back into the email bag when we return. 1-0 Fish. Here it is, 84 degrees. Nice. Humidity, 49%. 93 tomorrow, so it's going to heat up. Marlins, of course, traveling tomorrow up to Washington, D.C., then on to New York. 5-game road trip, 3 in D.C., 2 against the Mets. Email bag.
How's the email bag look, Rich?
We have a tweet.
Okay.
And this, if I can find it, tweet from a Philly fan wanting to know why we're not showing Fox tracks when Ricky Nolasco is on the mound to show that the Marlins are getting calls tonight as well as Cliff Lee.
I think we will. We may not have last inning.
We pledged to show Fox tracks, make it an equal opportunity
broadcast.
Gadget.
Yes.
John Buck, good numbers against Lee.
I'll bet the Philly fan that tweeted that did not realize that when Cliff Lee was in high school in Arkansas, he was actually drafted by the Marlins out of high school.
Lee's route here has just been one wild ride, big trade after big trade. Fly ball to right. Ben Francisco makes the catch, and John Buck is out number 1. Mike Stanton comes up.
Of course, Lee did not sign out of high school. He went on to the University of Arkansas.
There was a 4th-round pick by the Expos, and then in one of the great trades that we always talk about whenever we see Brandon Phillips, when he and Grady Sizemore and Phillips went from Montreal to Cleveland for Bartolo Colon.
3 All-Stars.
Had a long run and a good run in Cleveland. And then the Phillies got him for 4 players in July of '09. Phillies then sent him to Seattle in December of that year for 3 players. Stanton swings and misses.
Good changeup. He hasn't broken that out until then.
Seattle then sent him to Texas July of last year for 4 players. And of course, he signed an enormous contract with the Phillies in the offseason. Stanton, left center field. And Victorino is there, and he makes the catch. You can catch the fun of Baker Concrete Marlins Super Saturday on May 21st, featuring the legendary Beach Boys. See the Marlins battle the Tampa Bay Rays at a special 4:10 start time. Then stay for an incredible postgame concert presented by Budweiser. 1-877-MARLINS, or go to marlins.com. So the Beach Boys on May 21st.
Surfing USA. Kind of an interesting bit of numbers with Wes Helms up there for the entire ball club. The Marlins are just 4-5 this year against left-handed starters. Yet they have a number of hitters, Wes being one of them, a number of hitters that have better success against lefties. So it doesn't really balance out and tell the whole story.
0-2 to Helms. And a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, and Helms fights it off. Wes's last 4 at bats, 4 strikeouts. So he's trying to get himself on track with the bat. He did not have a good stay in Philadelphia. In fact, the Marlins have been using a couple of ex-Phillies at third base, in Helms and Dobbs, and Wes pokes it into right field for a base hit.
Well, Greg Dobbs had a base hit. He was 1 for 3 last night against Halladay. That time, Wes got the breaking ball. He stays back on that ball well and had a good swing. Here comes the curve. Here comes a nice swing. Look at that curve on Fox mode. In order to hit that pitch that well, you have to stay back on it. Wes does a good job there.
Here is Infante. Omar 1 for 6 in the series. Infante hit the sharp ground ball that Rollins misplayed last night. It was a big play that started the 8th inning, and he sends Francisco back to the warning track, and that finishes the 2nd. 1-0 Marlins. traveling so far. It's a email and Twitter Wednesday tonight. We have a special guest, so if you have an email for the bullpen, now's the time to send it our way. Clay Hensley is the bravest of the guys in the pen. He has the headset on amidst the zoo down there. Hi, Clay. How are you?
Good. How's it going?
Good, good. There was no way you were going to let Mujica sit next to you, was there?
No chance. No chance. No telling what he's going to pull out of his sleeve.
How's the back right now?
It's sore. Feels like I got a cracked shoulder blade, but it's for the most part feels all right. It's going to take a little time. I think when all the muscle and everything around it kind of calms down, I think we should be ready to go.
So
already.
Here's the 0-1. Schneider swings and misses. For you guys in the bullpen, getting a chance to watch last night with J.J. and Halladay, and tonight getting to watch Ricky and Cliff Lee must be a treat.
No, it's great. We got two guys going head-to-head last night. I mean, it's the best in the game right now. A lot of fun to watch. It was nice to see us come on top. Bullpen came in and did a great job. And to watch Ricky go tonight, he's been throwing the ball really well. It's been pretty exciting. Everybody's been pitching the ball pretty good.
A lot of strikes. We like to see that. Does everybody have their own seat down there?
Yeah, we got assigned seating down here. It kind of just fell into a groove over here. It's about right. Of course, Mujica. Everybody wants to say hi over here. But, everybody's got their seats, kind of like a little routine, I guess.
Love you, Mom.
Yeah, tell Mujica to behave himself or we'll send the card out for him.
Hey, they said to behave yourself or they'll send the card out for you.
Fastball is fouled back and out of play.
I told them they finally caught the guy that shot him.
All right, let's talk about the season for the bullpen. I mean, you guys got off to such a great start. For 3 weeks, you were untouchable, and a few bumps in the road the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to happen over the course of the season. But the bullpen's been great. They did a really good job of coming in this offseason and bringing in some guys that we needed. We got a lot of depth now, and it gives Edwin a lot of options. So it's just we're going to continue to go out there and throw strikes and keep our game in it,
Brings up a good point. I'll ask you after this next pitch.
Sometime.
We talked about it the other night when a guy in the bullpen, a reliever, struggles a little bit. It's much different than a starting pitcher. How do you get it back together? You can't throw on the side. Do you throw a little bit before the game, or you just have to work on it in the game?
Well, yeah, I guess what you kind of focus on is getting your work done in batting practice and on your side sessions because you don't have a lot of time. You don't have the bullpens that you get when you're starting. So you try the good thing about coming out of the bullpen is that you get the chance to go out there the next night if you have a bad one.
Nice play by Omar Infante. The Marlins are a better defensive team this year, Clay. You feel that on the mound behind you when you're out there?
No, absolutely. The defense definitely improved. The young guys that we had here last year have made some adjustments in the right direction. And, bringing Omar, I believe, helped the middle of the infield quite a bit. And, everybody's doing a pretty good job. I like the way the defense is set up and ground balls and catching everything turning to. So, we like it definitely on the mound.
Cliff Lee at the plate. Ricky Nolasco has faced the minimum. And the emailers want to know who the biggest goofball in the bullpen is.
Look at this guy right here. Pan the camera right there. Look. That guy right there. Biggest goofball in the bullpen for sure.
Now, is it true that Mujica can imitate everybody's pitching motion?
Yeah, I can have him do it right now. You want him to do a couple guys?
Yeah, have him do Nunez.
Do Nooney right here. They want you to do Nooney right here. Actually, the best is Webb. He's got to do Webb.
All right.
He can do the whole routine also from him stretching, and Webb's pretty coordinated, so he does the karaoke pretty well.
All right, we're going to need a longer at bat. Nolasco misses outside.
They want you to do Webb right there. Throwing. Do Webby throwing right there. You got to run to the mound like Webby, though. There's his karaoke right there. If you guys watch down here in the seventh inning, you'll be able to see it, and it's pretty right on.
Ask Ryan Webb, was he like that in the Padre bullpen last year?
Well, hey, was he? They want to know if he was like that in the Padre bullpen last year. He wasn't that funny last year, he said. You're a little more comfortable now.
It's like open mic night in the bullpen.
I know.
3-2 the count to Cliff Lee.
Guys throwing chicken in an alligator pit down here.
Ricky Nolasco here in the third. The 3-2 coming. And Lee fouls it back. See that Steve Cishek is in the pen, but the rookie doesn't get involved in anything. He got the last seat on the bus.
Yeah, he's over there. The guys who get called up are the ones that have to sit and hear Halper for 9 innings.
All right, tell me about facing Jimmy Rollins, because he's coming to the plate now. Cliff Lee working a walk against Velasco.
Well, Jimmy's the type of guy. He's definitely going to try to, put the bat on the ball. I think for the most part, it's just you just try to throw something down in the zone and have him hit a ground ball. He tends to yank the ball quite a bit, so down and away is kind of the right pitch for him, and hopefully you get the ground ball to second.
Rollins struck out against Nolasco. For Ricky, his only strikeout of the night. He's walked 2. Breaking ball in the dirt. How about that stat last night, Clay and Tommy, about Roy Halladay? I know he pitched in the American League for a long time. Had never walked a pitcher in his career until he walked Josh Johnson last night.
It's pretty good. He definitely he's one of the guys that throws a lot of strikes. So any given time, that's one thing about those guys. That's why they go so deep in the games. Is obviously they have great stuff, but they just pound the zone, and either you put the ball in play or they're going to strike you out.
Any bullpens that you look at, you're getting ready for a road trip, and you say, oh, man, that's a terrible bullpen. You can't see the game very well. Many bullpens like that?
Yeah. I think one of the bullpens that I hate is actually in New York. I don't like that bullpen a lot. They kind of have the fans sitting on you right there, and they get into you pretty good. Philly's actually another one. It's a beautiful stadium, and it's probably a lot of fun if you play for the Phillies, but the fans are right there on top of you, and they definitely do their homework because they're bringing up all kind of stats of family members, and they must be up there Googling or something while you're up there warming up.
Ricky Nolasco's gone 3-0 on Jimmy Rollins. When you're on the mound and you all of a sudden lose it like Ricky has here, how do you get back to form?
Well, I don't think he's really quite lost it yet, but Ricky's just as long as with anybody, you just got to take a deep breath, relax, try not to let the game speed you up, and just relax and throw strikes, what you're capable of doing.
It was a relative term, losing it in the sense that he was behind 3-0.
And that he walked Cliff Lee.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think he's going to be fine. You just got to take a deep breath and throw some strikes.
3-1 pitch coming. Rollins hits it to center field.
That's how you regain it.
There you go.
All right, Clay, reluctantly we're coming back to you in the bottom of the 3rd inning. So
that's good or not.
We got some bullpen questions for you.
All right.
Who will win the National League East this season? It's a Marlins-Phillies poll. 789-789. Standard rates apply. Certainly the Phillies are favored. The Braves and the Marlins, everyone feels, will battle it out for second and a possible wild card. But there's your poll question. Clay Hensley is with us in the Marlins bullpen right now. We have an email for you from Edward. How much tape do you guys watch for opposing hitters? Do you watch as much as, say, a starting pitcher?
No, not really. Some of the guys you'll go in there and check out, see what you've done to the guys in the past, but it's definitely not as in-depth as a starter may go. those guys, at least, at the time when I was doing it, that entire week prior up to my next start, I was looking at film. So, but in the bullpen, you really don't do that. We just kind of go over the guys' tendencies, what they've done in the last probably like 10, 15 ABs, and, kind of what their weaknesses are and try to attack those.
Clay, with Ricky coming up here, back in 06, you started 29 games. You won 11 games with the Padres. What kind of hitter were you?
Well, you must know if you looked. You're asking that kind of question.
I did not.
Not very good. Not very good.
So you're happy to be in the ball. I think you've adjusted to this role, though, haven't you?
I definitely enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun down here. We cut up, and like I said, one of the good things about it is if you have a bad day, you get back out there and try to overcome it the next night. And we make it a lot of fun. We keep it loose out here. We got a good group, and it's definitely an adjustment that I've made and I enjoy.
Kevin in Fort Lauderdale wants to know, pitching in this particular ballpark, advantage for a pitcher or for a hitter?
Well, there's that. I feel like left plays pretty short. I think the corners play a little short here, but it's pretty deep in the left alley over there. But it's a pretty good pitcher's park. I think the ball stays in here pretty well. I think if a guy gets a hold of one left field, it gets out there pretty easily. But for the most part, I like pitching here.
All right, we've told fans the story of how your buddy Kevin Correa taught you the grip for your changeup, and he got it from Tim Lincecum. Mike in Gainesville wants to know, if there was one pitch from one other pitcher, and you could have it, what would it be, and who would it be?
I'd probably, if I could add something, I'd like to add Holiday's cutter. I think it's obviously he throws a lot harder than I do, but being a sinker baller, being able to move it one way and have a pitch come back and look like it's the same pitch and then go the other way is, I think, one of the big reasons he has a lot of success. So if I was able to add another pitch, it'd definitely be that one.
And by the way, Correa's having a good year, isn't he?
Yeah, he's throwing the ball really well. He kind of ran into a little bit of a bump last year, but understandably so, having that family tragedy happen. And it's good to see him get out there this year. He seems a lot happier with his life and where he's at right now, and it's definitely shown on the field.
Chris Coughlin at the plate, the 1-1 pitch. Lee buzzes him up and in, and it's 2-1. Cliff Lee, Ricky Nolasco, a Hanley Ramirez home run in this one. And he is the only run on the board, much like last night when a Ryan Howard homer started the scoring against Josh Johnson. 2-1 coming. Coughlin trying to sneak a ground ball down the third base line. It's foul.
Hans, what does it mean to the guys, especially in the dugout? I know in the bullpen you're a little bit out of it unless you get in the game, but what does it mean to have the kind of crowd we had here last night? There was a nice buzz here.
I'll tell you what, last night we were talking about it down here. Last night was about as close as it's come to a playoff atmosphere as long as I've been here. These are guys obviously that we're trying to make a run after. And have the fans out here like we did last night, it made the game a lot of fun. There was a lot of energy. Obviously, you had those two guys on the bump, but to come out on top, you could feel the energy, and it was something that I think was motivating everybody to come into this game tonight. I know one of the big things we were saying after last night's game in the locker room was to go ahead and win this series, and let's try to prove to these people that we're able to beat them.
Edwin had a great quote before the ball game. He was talking about the crowd, and he said it was a baseball-savvy crowd. And you don't always find that because this is such a big event town. But he said when Ozzie Martinez came off the field, he got such an ovation. It was almost like he had hit a walk-off homer instead of moving a runner from second to third.
Well, that's the thing. That's what's, as from a player standpoint, you like to have a crowd that's in the game. You like to have a crowd that whenever they bunt a guy over or a guy sack bunts, they get the ovation they deserve. So he's right. It was definitely a crowd that was in the game, a crowd that was pretty knowledgeable about the game, and it was exciting to be around.
Here comes Emilio Bonifacio. He struck out back in the first. Brandon in Weston. How has the bullpen gotten so much better than last year?
I think the key word on that would be depth. We got some lefties now this year that are going in there and punching everybody out. And, we have a couple long guys. We have 3 guys that can set up, and all that allows is Edwin to have a lot more options, which is going to obviously add to a lot more success down there.
Hey, a fine job. You kept your composure under duress down there.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Clay.
All right.
Clay Hensley and friends. 1-0 Marlins. facility provides fans the opportunity to explore an actual ballpark suite. See all the new amenities and experience a 3D view from any seat in the ballpark. 1-877-411-2012. Make an appointment or go to marlins.com/new ballpark. Shane Victorino, Ricky Nolasco, a changeup chop to Gabby Sanchez, who's had quite a year defensively at first base. Much improved from last year. Let's do some trivia. Let's flip the phone. Cue the phone.
I hear it ringing now, off in the distance.
There it is. Who holds the Phillies' single-season pinch hit record? Now, my partner, Tommy Hutton, a famous Philly pinch hitter. Ross Glode, a current Philly pinch hitter. Greg Dobbs.
They've had some good ones. Greg Gross, Jay Johnstone. They had a guy one year, we were teammates, and really was the only big year he had as a pinch hitter. I think he had 18.
Softly into right field. Stanton charges, and it gets by him. And it rolls into right field. Polanco to second, and that's as far as he gets. So Polanco's at second. Here's a look at Stanton again.
Boy, it looks like he gets there and just whiffs. He was there in plenty of time. The ball actually went over his glove. Foxmo will show it to you. He had a chance and didn't even get leather on it. Well, that's a tough one, and that's going to be the first base hit for the Phillies, but more importantly, Polanco was able to get to second base.
And he's at second base with Howard and Ibanez back, so it goes for a double. Howard walked his first time up.
By the way, that pinch hitter I'm thinking of is Mike Rogozinski. Had 18 pinch hits one year with the Phillies.
Shift is on. Howard goes after a high fastball and fouls it off.
Now Ricky really has his work cut out for him with Howard and then Ibanez and Polanco at second base.
Couple of walks for Ricky, uncharacteristic, including a walk of Cliff Lee. Ball one, it's 1-1.
So far, the consistency in Timmons, he's not calling that high strike, but he's given both pitchers a little leeway on the corners, inside and outside. The changeup.
It's 1-2. Nolasco has always been a winner. When he was in the Cubs farm system, the Marlins got him in a terrific trade. Juan Pierre. Nolasco, one of three pitchers that came in this direction. And the best of the three. Here's the 1-2. That's up. And as you pointed out, no one's getting that strike right now. It's 2-2.
Yeah, and you give Howard credit. He's staying away from that pitch. He swung through that pitch a couple of times. And it was a little high. But what Ricky's trying to do there, you don't want to throw that pitch to get a called strike. You're trying to get a swing and miss.
Gorgeous curveball.
He changed the eye level. You had the eye level of all the fastballs. Howard with his level right there. And then all of a sudden, Ricky dropped in the deuce. And it just locked up Ryan Howard. That's a beautiful pitch.
So now Ibanez, and Polanco still in scoring position out at second base. Ibanez bounced into a double play. That erased the Howard walk in the second inning. Popped him up and out of play.
You know, it's interesting, Rich, and we've talked about it every so often. Ricky was drafted in the 4th round in 2001. His brother David drafted the same year in the 23rd round by the Milwaukee Brewers. He pitched in the minor leagues, got to Double-A with the Brewers.
Big breaking ball. We always see David and the Nolasco family when we head to the West Coast.
You know we'll see him in Oakland.
Yep.
You know we'll see him in San Francisco. Usually L.A. and San Diego. Ricky's mom.
Probably a lot of busted windows in that house between him and David growing up. A few fastballs and curveballs that got away. Polanco's at second. 0-2 coming. He, as scouts will say, can really spin it. And he has 2 different speeds of curveballs, the spike curveball and then another curveball, more of a standard curveball. But he's mixed in a really good change. He's got much better touch on his changeup now.
Ricky knows that you don't have to throw 96 to pitch and be successful up here. It's a matter of changing speeds, taking a little bit off, adding a little to an assortment of pitches.
0-2. Right now, Ibanez doing a nice job of fighting those breaking balls off.
You got to remind me, Rich, when we go out west to try to tap into Ricky's brother David and get some Ricky stories, some kid Ricky stories.
Ones that you can use on the telecast?
Ones that we can use on the air.
Oh.
Well, he can tell us the other ones, too.
Buck asked for time. Ibanez, remember, went through that long cold spell, and he has snapped out of it. 4 for 9 in this series. 16 of his last 34. Another 0-2. Here's another curveball. Try to hit it.
Well, he's had a good series. He's had in 11 at bats a pretty good career against Ricky, 4 for 11, and he's always hit the Marlins well.
From Twitter, you guys should have bullpen open mic every game. That's what it seemed like down there. Oh-2. Fastball up.
I really do think fans enjoy that. I enjoyed it. Just fans get a chance to see the guys just as regular people having fun down in the bullpen.
From Glenn. Why do you guys act like you won the World Series when you won a May game last night? It's from a Phillies fan.
Get a lot of nasty Philly Twitters. Tweets, I guess.
Swing and a miss.
Take that.
There goes Ibanez.
Philly fan.
Ibanez thought he fouled it. But Ricky Nolasco gets a strikeout.
I think the Phillies would have acted the same way if they won that game last night.
See, now you did it.
Tweet that.
Now you got Hutton fired up. Is brought to you by Subway. Eat fresh by Metro PCS. Android phones now available at Metro PCS. Plus, get unlimited nationwide service for just $50 a month. Metro PCS, wireless for all. And by T-Mobile, America's largest 4G network. Glad you're with us tonight. Another great pitching duel. Tonight, it's Ricky Nolasco and Cliff Lee. And tonight, that man has provided the only run. Hanley Ramirez with a solo homer. A 2-out shot in the first. Lee throws him a fastball. Hanley bounces it wide of Howard, who flips to Lee, who makes the catch, and he and Hanley greet each other behind the bag.
Good job by Hanley. The sportsmanship there. He knew the throw was low. Lee beat him, but he didn't want to run over him after he passed the bag. So good job on both parts.
So Cliff Lee, who gave up a Wes Helms single, and that's it. The Hanley homer, the Helms single. Lee has walked no one, and he has a pair of strikeouts. Here's Gabby Sanchez.
How about Cliff Lee, Rich, in 09 in the World Series against the Yankees? 2-0, a 2.81 ERA, and one of those a complete game.
Well, his postseason numbers are just astounding. He's 7-2 with a 2.13 ERA in 10 postseason starts. Gabby off the end of the bat, and Banez makes the catch. All right, let's find out who that Philly pinch hitter is. As we flip the phone, our AT&T trivia question.
I might have to go with Greg Dobbs.
Single season pinch hit record in Philly history. It was. Dobbs in 2008 had 22.
Big part of their championship year.
Here's John Buck. Buck, right center field. Francisco makes the catch. Very quick inning for Cliff Lee. Marlins up 1-0. Marlins on top of the Phillies. Ricky Nolasco and Cliff Lee matched up here. Time now for our Just for Men look forward at the Marlins schedule. On to Washington Friday, Saturday afternoon, and a Sunday afternoon. Then 2 games in New York. Volstead, Sanchez, and Javi Vasquez, coming off the bereavement list, is scheduled for the Sunday start. Ricky Nolasco bends one in there for a strike. Ben Francisco. Brian Schneider's next, then Wilson Valdez in the Philadelphia 5th inning.
Phillies head up to Atlanta for the weekend. They have an off day as well tomorrow.
Three straight curveballs. And down goes Ben Francisco. Nolasco has a tendency to get on strikeout runs within a game, and he has struck out the last 3 he's faced.
So does Cliff Lee. I think he struck out 15 of 16 at one point in that last outing. Hard to tell curveball or slider, but he really got Francisco to chase it out of the strike zone.
4 strikeouts for Ricky now. Cliff Lee has 2. Nolasco has walked 2. And Lee is living at just 41 pitches through 4 innings.
Through 4 pitches the last inning.
Wow. 60 pitches for Nolasco. Schneider takes a strike. And it's 1-1.
Well, we kind of build it as this when we opened up the telecast. 2 strike throwers. 2 outstanding pitchers.
Checked his swing on what looked like a pretty good pitch. And it's 2-1.
There were some pretty good strike throwers and outstanding pitchers last night in San Francisco. Tim Lincecum and Ian Kennedy.
I watched a little bit of that game. Schneider hits it well. Coughlin going back. Chris looking up. Over his head. Goes to the wall. And Brian Schneider with a 1-out double.
Brian Schneider, over the years, a guy who has seen a little bit of Ricky Nolasco. That's his 8th hit against Ricky, 8 for 25 now. Just couldn't quite catch up with it. Schneider hit it well.
Wilson Valdez and then Cliff Lee now in the Philadelphia order.
Yeah, that Arizona San Francisco game. Each of those pitchers 8 shutout innings. And finally, Cody Ross got an RBI single, a walk-off single, and the Giants won it 1-0.
Oh, and 1. Phillies at 23-12. Ricky's fastball is fouled off.
You look at the job that Valdez has done. Pretty good. He started 21 games, this being his 22nd start at second base. 1 start at third.
Oh, 2. Email coming in from a familiar spot. Robert at Rooney's, who's apparently your favorite bartender.
Oh, yeah.
What did John Buck give to Gabby Sanchez for the number 14?
I believe a nice watch. I want to say Breitling, but I'm not sure. I think so.
0-2. That happens when players change teams if they've got a favorite number and someone else has it. Now, oftentimes it's a player will say, well, what do you want for it? And there's some bargaining that goes on. Gabby didn't want anything for it.
Yeah, he didn't want anything.
No, Gabby said, here's the jersey, it's yours. And Buck, despite that, gave him a nice gift, the 1-2. Valdez tipped it. That was out of the glove of Buck.
I just feel good that Rob has checked in from Rooney's, because I know on one of the TVs, at least one TV, is the Marlins game.
Well, halftime of the basketball game, and so many of you, I'm sure, surfing over to see how the Marlins are doing.
Easy to give an update on the scoring in this one.
It's a very similar feel to last night with Josh Johnson and Roy Halladay. Here it's Ricky Nolasco and Cliff Lee. And a Hanley Ramirez home run is the only run up on the board. But Brian Schneider's at second with one out here in the fifth. Nolasco strikes out Valdez.
Big strikeout there. Just getting ready to say, keep in mind, Schneider does not run well. A catcher, he's been around. He has those catcher's legs. Foxmo, this still is a nasty pitch. And really getting a couple of hitters. Francisco for the first out of the inning to chase a pitch very similar. And Valdez there. We got to hook up Rob from Rooney's with the crack staff in Gainesville. They'd hit it off, I think.
Lee, hard shot off Infante into center, and this, Schneider is hurt, and he pulls up at third, and he won't score. What a bizarre play. First a liner that Infante had bounce off of his leg, it looked like, and then Schneider came around third and flat out stopped.
Soon as he rounded the bag, this ball is stung by Cliff Lee. It looks like Infante is going to make the play. He certainly was there. It was hit hard, but it was a catchable ball. Schneider hits the bag, and then the hamstring, left hamstring, as soon as he crossed the bag, snapped on him. Here it is at full speed. Ball that should have been caught. Think of the two hits that the Phillies have gotten, other than the one by Schneider. The one that Polanco hit, certainly catchable by Mike Stanton in right field, and that one catchable by Omar Infante.
What a bizarre play. First, the fact that Infante doesn't catch the line drive, and then second, the fact that Schneider is hurt, rounding third. There would not have been a throw to the plate if Schneider had not injured himself and just kept on running, but obviously he couldn't go any further, and he's in pain in the Philly dugout. As it is, Nolasco still has to get Rollins out to keep the Phillies off the scoreboard.
Well, Ricky can just regroup and say he caught a big break. And Dane Sardina, who we saw handle Roy Halladay, catch Roy Halladay, he'll do the catching, and he goes into pinch run for Schneider.
Carlos Ruiz continues to rehab.
He's close, though, in coming back.
And he is a valuable asset to this Phillies team. Off the end of the bat, little roller, Infante, they get the out, and the Marlins get an enormous break on the injury to Brian Schneider. Still 1-0.
Hensley live with us in the bullpen. Earlier in this homestand, Hensley was in the Marlins dugout shooting a promotional spot for Bark at the Park, which will be June 3rd. All proceeds from dog tickets go to the Humane Society. That's not a Lhasa Apso there. That's the windscreen on the microphone. But while Clay was shooting, there was one canine around whose bark was definitely worse than his bite. Yes, indeed, the multi-talented Jeff Conine. I've heard of bird calls, guys, but how about dog calls?
Frank,
can we identify that breed? Jeff says he's scared more than a few reporters in his lifetime with those barks.
We want to hear some of that on the postgame.
All right. We'll get him to do it. Our multi-talented Jeff Conine, a man of many, many talents.
Well, Cliff Lee thought he had tied the ball game with that line drive off of Omar Infante. And unfortunately, Brian Schneider injured his hamstring. And there you see Dane Sardina behind the plate.
So that does strap Charlie Manuel a little bit. His emergency catcher is a utility infielder, Pete Orr, who we saw playing second base, who doesn't catch that much. So right now with Schneider out and Sardina in there, Orr's the emergency catcher.
And again, the Phillies in a position where they're not supporting Cliff Lee. They've scored just one run in his past 3 starts plus the 4 innings here. He thought he'd take care of that himself, and he almost did. Mike Stanton has flied out, and he fouls it back to the screen. Stanton, Helms, Infante for the Marlins here in the 5th. Here's an email from John in Miami. Lives in Miami. Had to go back to Philly to clean out the family house. And he found his old baseball glove. And Tommy, your autograph is still legible on the webbing.
Ah, very nice.
Just want to say thanks for the memories it brought back of going to the vet with his dad to watch you play for the Phillies. 1-2, Stanton pulls it foul. One, two coming. Ground ball up the middle into center field. That's a base hit.
Good at bat, good swings that time from Mike Stanton.
Isaac in Hollywood after this replay.
Stays on that ball. It's a pretty good pitch by Lee. He stays on and goes right back up the middle.
Isaac wants to know if Roy Halladay gets credit for a complete game last night, since he was the only pitcher to pitch for the Phillies. That's what's known as a complete game loss.
Yes, he does.
And he does get credit for it. I'll bet you Halladay has more complete game losses than other pitchers have complete game wins.
So that would give Halladay now 61 career complete games.
Wes Helms singled in the second. You got Stanton at first. And that's fouled back. Of course, Halladay pitching for the Blue Jays when the Blue Jays, early in his career, the Blue Jays were still somewhat contenders. But then tail end of his career, a lot of rebuilding going on while he was there.
Still a 19-game winner, a 22-game winner with Toronto. 20-game winner in 08.
Lee, a Philly back in 09. And he was there for 12 starts in the regular season. You pointed out his postseason with the Phillies. He was 4-0. Last year, of course, he was in the World Series. He's been in the last 2 World Series with Texas and with Philadelphia. Helms went after the breaking ball, and Lee got him. So up comes Infante. Saturday the 28th, the UEFA Champions League final comes to Fox. And it's a rematch of 09. FC Barcelona will take on Man U. A rematch from that 09 final. Fox Sports exclusive coverage of the UEFA Champions League final begins Saturday, May 28th at 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific in high definition.
Is it Man U? Is it Man U or Manchester United? Can you say Man U?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. FC Barcelona. I've seen FC Barcelona in action over in Spain.
And I commend you because I know you've actually done soccer. Play by play.
Not very well. Long ago. They play, FC Barcelona plays in an enormous stadium in Barcelona. I think it's called Camp Nou Stadium. Fonte takes one on the outside corner. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. We always answer our military emails. Roman, who is stationed in Dam Neck, Virginia, and is a United States Marine, has a book of professional athletes that were former Marines but did not see any baseball players, wondering if the crack staff can find ex-Marines who played in the major leagues. I'm sure you can find plenty of them back in the 40s, 50s,
oh, yeah,
and 60s. Currently, though, not many, as opposed to, say, football, and even now and then you get a David Robinson in basketball.
No, back when the draft was mandatory, it was a little different story.
Not many military people become baseball players. Counts 1 and 2. Slow chopper out there. Valdez, his turn is late. Of course, back in the 40s and the 50s, baseball players became military people, including military heroes, Ted Williams, Jerry Coleman. Long line of guys that lost a good chunk of their career serving in 2 wars.
I think Ted Williams' case, he served in 3. He missed close to 5 years, 4.5, 5 years of his career.
Nolasco now. It's a tough at bat for Ricky against Lee. He struck him out back in the 3rd.
Cliff Lee looks like he's throwing darts when he's out there with the delivery, a little bit of a short arm delivery. He's mostly 92, 93.
Won the Cy Young in 2008. Was 22-3 with Cleveland.
Always has that cap stained a little bit on the back and a little bit in the front with the rosin bag. He'll go to and then go up to the cap, so you see a little bit on the back. There's always some on the brim.
And he strikes out Nolasco. So Cliff Lee has given up just a Hanley Ramirez homer, and that's the only scoring in the ballgame so far.
presentado por KFC.
In Miami tonight, the Marlins and the Phillies finishing off a 3-game series. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton, Frank Fort, and Ricky Nolasco. 1-0. Marlins on top. Nolasco and the Marlins some fortune, which was actually misfortune for the Phillies. In the top of the 5th, with Brian Schneider in scoring position, Cliff Lee hit a smash off of Omar Infante that ended up in shallow center. But as Brian Schneider came around third, he pulled his hamstring and could not score. He had to go back to third. Nolasco got Jimmy Rollins to bounce out and got out of the inning. And he starts the 6th with a changeup and misses low to Shane Victorino. Placido Polanco, Ryan Howard, 2-3-4 for the Phillies against Nolasco. And this pitching matchup has been just as good as last night's matchup of Halladay and Johnson.
How about Cliff Lee tonight? He's thrown 59 pitches. 47 have been strikes.
We take emails and tweets from fans of all ages. This is the youth part of the show. This is from Ivan in Port St. Lucie. I emailed you a question last night, waited patiently, but it never happened. Well, we moved emails to Wednesday. Are you going to spend the whole night with the bullpen? I want to know when Logan Morrison will return to the lineup. Remember, I'm only 7. I got to be in bed by 9. Up the middle. Hanley with a diving stop on his knees. Oh, he threw out Victorino.
Oh, that's a great play because Victorino can fly up the line. Hanley smothered it but caught it cleanly. Ball was hit sharply by Victorino. Hanley's there, the dive, and then from his knees he had to get something on it. And he got something on it, an accurate throw to get Victorino. Beauty.
Here comes Polanco.
Well, the Jupiter Hammerheads played a game this morning, actually. And Logan Morrison had a couple of hits, one of those a home run. Matt Dominguez played in that lineup, and John Baker played in the lineup. Bake was 0 for 0. Scored a couple of runs and walked 4 times.
And Logan Morrison had a couple of hits, including a home run.
That's right, 3 RBI. So we expect that Lomo will be in the lineup Friday night in Washington.
And you've got, 25 minutes before you have to be in bed.
Because I think Lomo even tweeted that the foot felt fine, and he's chomping at the bit to get back in there.
Here's the 1-1 to Polanco, a double and a fly ball out, and it's 1-2. Jeremy has this to say: today my teacher passed out all-star ballots in class and gave extra credit to whoever voted for Gabby Sanchez.
Always got to go for that extra credit. I never got extra credit like that.
1-2. Infante fires to first. And Nolasco with a couple of quick outs here in the 6th. Marlin fans, you can present your Miccosukee Ultimate Rewards Players Club card at the stadium box office starting 2 hours prior to any Marlins home game and receive a $10 discount on up to 8 infield box seats. Offer cannot be combined and is subject to availability. Miccosukee Resort and Gaming, get in the game. There were a couple of emails earlier in the night that asked if anyone, reporter or any of the broadcasters, had pointed out to John Buck that he did homer over the Miccosukee side. And Buck relentlessly was told after he read the promos and had trouble pronouncing Miccosukee that he indeed homered over the Miccosukee side.
I think we all told him.
A strike to Howard. A Toyota trend. Homered in 26 of 99 career games against the Fish. And the Phillies 17-9 in those games. Howard homered last night, but the Marlins won.
Yeah, a couple of those, a few of those have been multi-homer games because he has 30 career home runs against the Fish.
Danny in Palm Beach Gardens wants to know, when will Chase Utley be returning? And I don't know that the Phillies have a definitive answer on that, although Utley much like Lomo, is now assigned to a team and is playing in minor league games. Nolasco strikes out Ryan Howard, a 1-2-3 inning here in the 6th. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Ricky Nolasco and the Fish, a 1-0 lead over the Phillies. Welcome back, South Florida, 1-0. Marlins on top of the Phillies. Final game of the 3-game series. Fish trying to win the series after the dramatic win last night. Tonight, Cliff Lee has been nails. So has Ricky Nolasco. It's a 1-0 game. Top of the order, Chris Coghlan, third time through against Cliff Lee, who has been a strike-throwing machine as usual. 60 pitches, 47 strikes.
So many comparisons between these two pitchers. Lee has 13 career double-digit strikeout games. Ricky Nolasco has 12. And then this year, each pitcher has gone 7 or more innings 5 times. 5 of their 7 starts.
Oh, 2 to Coghlan. Up and in. And it's 1-2. Well, he's so good in the postseason. We were talking about the World Series in 2009. Last year with the Rangers, twice he ran into Tim Lincecum. And both times, Tim Lincecum got the win and Lee got the loss. And of course, in Game 5, there was that Edgar Renteria home run that sunk both Lee and the Rangers and essentially finished the World Series for the Giants.
And he's gotten Chris Coghlan 3 times tonight to ground out to second base.
Here comes Bonifacio. An 0-for-2 night for Emilio. Just 3 hits. The Hanley homer. Mike Stanton and Wes Helms have singles. And Lee cuts one and gets a strike. It's 0-1. Port St. Lucie chiming in on an email. Dan, want to know if there will be travel accommodations for fans who reside in St. Lucie County when the new Marlins ballpark opens next year. And if so, could you plug me in? I'd appreciate the info. From what I've heard, Dan, a lot of the hotels in downtown Miami will have specials, weekend specials, for fans that are coming from out of the area to come to ball games. Up the middle, and Lee kind of misplayed it. Rollins, a quick throw. Bonifacio beats it. Cliff Lee pounding his chest saying, my bad. on a tricky hop that got by the mound.
He slowed it up enough. I don't know if Jimmy Rollins gets to it if he doesn't slow it up. But because it's a little slower, it allows Bonifacio. That ball went right over the bag. Great job, great effort by Jimmy Rollins to pick and unload all in the same motion. But you just can't get it there quick enough with Bonifacio, who helped the first base umpire, Jeff Kellogg, make the call.
So Bonifacio's at first now. Here's Hanley. Homered on a breaking ball in the first. And bounced to Howard in the fourth.
Rich, that's something you and I have talked about. The emailer from Port St. Lucie. What a great opportunity from other areas coming in from Orlando, up north, across the state, over in Fort Myers or Naples, to come over on a nice weekend. You know the games are going to be comfortable. You know you're going to have the games on time and have a good time in Miami.
Coors Light Cold Hard Blast. This was Hanley Ramirez running into Cliff Lee. Actually a freeze cam. And for Hanley, just his second of the season. Two and one. And if you stay at a downtown hotel, I would expect you won't have to pay for parking or park your car at the stadium. I'll bet you can catch a shuttle.
Oh, there'll be all kinds of ways you can get there.
Hanley, a line drive off the glove of Valdez. Bonifacio stops at second. And Hanley has a home run and a bolt that Valdez couldn't handle.
Boy, how nice are the swings of Hanley Ramirez tonight. The home run and then staying back and absolutely crushing that ball, drilling it off the glove of Valdez. If not for Valdez touching that ball, that has gap written all over it. So I think Valdez saved a run, unless Victorino could have cut it off. So good play by Valdez just to get a glove on it.
Now Sanchez, who has bounced out and flied out. You've got terrific speed out there with Bonifacio at second and Hanley Ramirez. Gabby pokes one down the left field line and he hooked it. Just hooked it. 0-1.
Looked like he got the changeup. It hung up a little bit out over the plate, but sometimes you see that pitch, you pull the trigger a little bit too fast.
Sanchez hit one in that little corner, Alex Gonzalez's corner, where he hit the game-winning homer in a World Series game against the Yankees. Dumps that one into center field. Victorino comes on. It falls in front of him. Bonifacio had to stop. And so the bags are loaded, and here comes John Buck.
Yeah, it's a tough call, because the last thing you want to do is take off and have Victorino make a diving catch. You're talking about a three-time Gold Glover out there, a guy with a lot of speed. So Bonifacio had to hold. Hanley a better angle. When you're Bonifacio, you're looking at Victorino and the ball at a different angle. Hanley can see the gap between Victorino and the ball from his angle.
So here is Buck now. Twice he has flied to right. There's one out. Rollins and Valdez up the middle looking for two. In fact, the entire infield is back. Buck has a mighty rip. 0-1.
And at the beginning of the game, we told you all those numbers, the track record of John Buck and Cliff Lee because of their time in the American League.
Buck a liner to the left. That's a base hit. Bonifacio will score. Hanley stops at third. And John Buck continues to haunt Cliff Lee. 4 consecutive hits here in the 6th inning.
Some balls have been hit hard this inning. Cutter or slider down and in. John Buck said he'd see a lot of cutters from Cliff Lee, and he drills that ball. And again, though, Hanley, you see Hanley had to pause because it just got past Rollins. Watch Hanley out there at second. He's got to pause, and because of that, he can't score. But between Hanley, John Buck, 4 base hits in a row now off Cliff Lee.
This sets up a great matchup. You've got Lee, who is 32, making his 226th career start, one of the premier pitchers in the game. And you've got a 21-year-old at the plate in Mike Stanton. Stanton is 1 for 2. He's flied to center, and he had a smash up the middle for a single.
He just has to have the same approach that he had his last at bat. He stayed back nicely, took that ball up the middle. Doesn't have to think about over swinging. Try to make contact, at least a fly ball. At least get another run here.
Remember when we had Tony Perez in the booth this weekend in a spot like this and asked him what goes through a hitter's mind and when you're just trying to drive in a run, and he said, look for a pitch you can drive.
I think the other thing, some good advice I got a long time ago, when you're in this situation and you're at least thinking sack fly, you don't want to think fly ball because you drop the backside, you're going to pop it up. You want to think drive a ball right back up the middle, and that'll help you stay back on something off speed.
Lee has fallen behind 2-0. Stanton checks his swing. Did not go, and Cliff Lee, who walks a hitter maybe once a week, is 3-0 on Mike Stanton.
That his first 3-0 count the entire evening.
Line into center. Victorino makes the catch, tagging his Hanley, and on a 3-0 pitch, Stanton tattooed it, and the Marlins have their 3rd run.
I like that. Edwin Rodriguez has confidence in the youngster. They give the 21-year-old a green light. He's going to get that fastball. He did. He drilled it. Only problem right at Victorino in center field, but a sacrifice fly, and the Marlins get that 3rd run.
Now Wes Helms singled in the 2nd, struck out in the 5th. Fastball misses up. Two runs across here in the 6th. 4 consecutive hits and a sacrifice fly. And Lee gets a strike on a check swing. Helms wants to know if it was a strike.
Yeah, we've talked about these two teams. The Marlins with the not only the second best record in the National League East, the second best record in the National League, period. They've played 4 games and they've split the 4. They've been close games. They've been good games.
Helms with a soft ground ball, pulling Polanco off the line, and he gets the out at second. The Marlins put 2 on the board. It's now 3-0 Fish. Marlins on top, going to the top of the 7th. Chevy brings you the National League East standings. The Phillies and the Marlins 2 games back. The Braves 4 back. Marlins are headed to D.C. to take on the Nationals. Phillies have done it too without a lot of guys. The Marlins have done it without certainly Logan Morrison in left field. Breaking ball to strike from Ricky Nolasco to Raul Ibanez. Marlins have done it by piecing it together at third base. Phillies await the arrival of Utley and Lidge. Here's the 0-1 to Ibanez. Change-up, got it, and he drives it into that right field corner. It's a fair ball. Ibanez on his way to second. Stanton digs it out, and Raul Ibanez opens the 7th with a double. An important inning for Ricky Nolasco.
Ibanez has had a nice series, 5 for 11 now with that double, and he's been on fire ever since that 0 for 35. Keeps this ball fair. Stayed back, got the off-speed pitch. I guarantee when he was in the midst of that 0 for 35, he probably jumped out on that pitch, rolled over, and hit a ground ball to second base.
Francisco was 0 for 2. Pitch misses outside. M in Miami wants to know, what does the B stand for on the Phillies uniform this year? And it stands for a pair of 2 longtime members of the club's ownership group that passed away. Alexander Buck and Jay Buck. Long run for Stanton, and Mike reaches, makes over he goes, didn't make the catch. Stanton hops up and appears to be okay in a scary moment.
Wow.
In right field.
We saw Mike make a catch, not quite as tough as this one. He just can't put the brakes on once he gets near that fence and lands on that hard surface in the bullpen. That's not a soft mat over on the other side. Well, it's a nice effort because he knows that fence is right there. And so it's tough to concentrate, put all your concentration on the ball.
1-1 pitch. Liner to left. Bonifacio makes the catch. Francisco lines out. That brings up the catcher, Dane Sardina. Nolasco has an out in the 7th. Full season ticket plans in the new Marlins ballpark available now. The Diamond Club already sold out. Several other premium areas close to capacity. So secure your seats today. Call the new Marlins ballpark sales headquarters, 877-411-2012, or go to marlins.com/new ballpark.
That's the thing. Most of the premier seats are sold out.
Sardina. But if you got a spot in a ballpark that you like to sit, first base side, second deck, behind home plate,
I think the home run porch in the new ballpark is going to be just perfect.
Now is the time to get that season ticket, so you make sure you have the spot that you like in the new ballpark. Here's the 1-0. And the cool thing about the sales headquarters down at the ballpark is that even though fans can't go into the ballpark now because of the construction, you can go into the 3D seat view and find out what your view would look like from each individual seat in the ballpark. Sardina came in after Schneider went out of the game with a pulled hamstring, and he gets one off the end of the bat, and Gabby boots it. A lot of spin on the ball. Gabby waited on it, and that cost him.
It's one of those balls, if you come and get it a little quicker, if you come and get it, he kind of waited. And the more you wait, the more spin it has. And it just ate him up. It also caught the little fringe there, right on the dirt and the grass. But a lot of spin, error, just the second error of the year, but a big one in this situation. All of a sudden, the tying run comes to the plate.
And it's not Wilson Valdez. It looks like Ross Gload is going to take this pinch hitting appearance And Nolasco, who pitched out of trouble in the 5th. It's Pete Orr, not Glode. So Orr comes in.
That's it. Thinking of Charlie Manuel, if he uses Glode, then he has to use another player. This way he'll keep Orr in the game at second base.
And save Glode for a later pinch hitting appearance. Though Glode is the better hitter of the two, Orr is very difficult to double up, though.
Yeah, he runs really well.
Middle infield back for a ground ball. Nolasco to the plate. 0-1.
You don't want to try to force a double play. If you get an out, fine. The Phillies get a run, okay. Al Kendrick loosens in their bullpen.
That's because Lee's spot is on deck, although Lee had a base hit his last time up. Ricky with another changeup, and he's out in front of Orr 0-2. Nolasco tonight, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. He's given up 4 hits. Breaking ball.
This is where Ricky, and the fact that he's gotten ahead 0-2, he has a better opportunity, but this is where he's really thinking strikeout.
Cliff Lee has struck out 4 tonight. Told you Nolasco at 6. There's Ibanez. Double to open up the inning. Sardina at first. 0-2 coming. .96 pitches for Ricky Nolasco. Randy St. Clair looks on. Lee sits at 81 pitches. Nothing but off-speed stuff. And it's 1-2.
Yeah, Orr's a pretty good fastball hitter. Ricky threw 103 pitches his last outing against the Nationals in 7 innings. That was his 11 strikeout game against Washington.
Liner down the right field line. That's trouble. To the wall it goes. Scoring is Ibanez. Sardina to third. And he stopped there.
Ricky tried to put him away, but he didn't bury that breaking ball where he wanted to. Didn't get in, didn't have the bite. He wanted it down on the ankles and off the plate. Give credit to Orr. He had a good at bat, kept the ball fair, and didn't hook it foul. And now we'll see Ross Glode.
Cliff Lee was in the box and digging in. And Charlie Manuel had to come out of the dugout to tell him he was coming out of the game.
Well, he had a perfect night at the plate, 1 for 1 with a single and a walk.
Edwin is on his way out to the mound, and he's going to the bullpen. So Nolasco is coming out with Glode at the plate in a big spot in the top of the 7th. 3-1, Marlins on top. Here's our Maroon, he called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call?
The Marlins are up 3-1, but the Phillies have runners at second and third. Ryan Webb comes out of the bullpen. Those are his numbers on the season. 18th appearance. One statistic that is troubling for Webb this year, and that's inherited runners stranded. 50% of the runners he's inherited have scored, and the two that he inherits here are in scoring position. With one out, he's got Ross Glode, one of the better pinch hitters in the National League, and then Jimmy Rollins on deck.
Infield is back. They'll take it out.
Glode fouls it at the plate.
I was a little surprised that we didn't, when Ricky started to get in trouble there, that we didn't see Dunn or Choate also warming up, left-handers. So by this move, Edwin knew that he was going to have Ryan Webb facing the lefty, Ross Glode, and then the switch hitter, Jimmy Rollins.
Glode last night struck out. A fly ball towards the line, turning foul. That was a long run for Bonifacio. The Marlins were playing Glode into left center. Glode got a start in game 1 of the series and had a good night. He was 2 for 3.
His 2 starts this year, one in Philadelphia and the one the other night, have both been against Javier Vazquez.
We have 3 of those guys in the ballpark tonight: Dobbs, Helms, and Glode. We just saw Matt Stairs. Webb's 0-2. Sharp breaking ball, and Glode stayed on it.
Generally a tough guy to strike out. We saw a lot of Ross Glode a couple of years ago have a big year with the Marlins.
Sardina, he hit the ground ball that Gabby Sanchez booted, and Orr came through with a big pinch hit RBI double. So the Phillies have their first run, and they've got 2 more in scoring position. 0-2.
Good hard sinker, but just out of the zone, and Glode wasn't fishing.
J.C. Romero in the Phillies pen. Webb's 1-2. Edwin Rodriguez and the Marlins trying to take the series from the Phillies. Glode trying to tie this game up.
He's giving Ryan Webb a battle, too.
6 pitch at bat so far. Webb coming over from the Padres in the Cameron Maben trade, along with Edward Mujica.
By the way, Rich, with Mujica probably not able to pitch, I'm sure Edwin has set aside Mike Dunn for the 8th inning. Clay Hensley on the disabled list.
Steve Cishek called up. As Javi Vazquez on the bereavement list. So the Marlins have added an arm. The 2-2. Soft ground ball. Gabby has this one, and he'll flip to Webb. The Phillies have a run and are within 1, and now Webb has to get Jimmy Rollins to keep the lead.
Made a good pitch. After all those heavy, hard sinkers, he dropped a breaking ball on Glode, who was fooled. He was out in front, but he did make contact to get the run in.
And the Philly pinch hitters come through, or with an RBI double, Glode with an RBI ground ball out. And here's Rollins, who is 0 for 3. Both starters out of the ball game now. Lee gone for the pinch hitter, and Nolasco gone for Ryan Webb. Ground ball back to the mound. Webb has it. The Marlins keep the lead, but the Phillies get their first 2 runs of the night. 7th inning stretch in Miami. It is 3-2 Marlins. Our game summary, 3-2 ball game. Marlins on top.
Well, once again, we build it as a pitching matchup, a good one, and it has filled the bill. Ricky Nolasco, Cliff Lee. How about Hanley Ramirez? His first at bat, his second home run of the year. The Marlins had a 1-0 lead against the Philadelphia Phillies in the 5th inning. How about this base hit by Cliff Lee? And it looked like the Phillies were going to tie it, and all of a sudden coming up with a sore pulled hamstring is Brian Schneider. He has to go back to the bag. The Marlins put together 4 straight hits, a big one by John Buck. He picks up an RBI with Bonifacio coming in to score. Marlins got a sac fly a little bit later. And then Pete Orr pinch hitting for the Phillies. Drives in Ibanez with a 2-base hit, sending Sardina to third. Right now it's a 3-2 lead for the Marlins. A good job by Ryan Webb to get out of that inning. Got a couple of outs. And here we go. A couple of changes. Pete Orr stays in the game at second base. And the veteran J.C. Romero comes in to pitch for Philadelphia.
Omar Infante, a pinch hitter. It looks like Ozzie Martinez on deck. And then Chris Coughlin. Infante's 0 for 2. In the air to right, and Francisco is there, and he makes the catch.
Good pitcher, guy who's been around with many teams, has been busy over the last 9 or 10 years. 3 good pitches out of the bullpen for Romero. A fastball, a slider, good changeup.
Had a calf strain in mid-April and was on the disabled list for a couple of weeks. So here is Ozzie, who had a big at-bat last night, and Romero takes down low. Ozzie, as you see Mike Dunn loosening up.
As expected.
Drives it to right center field. He hits it pretty well. Francisco going back, reaches and makes the catch. Nice play by Ben Francisco, robbing Ozzie Martinez of extra bases.
Ozzie really puts a charge into that ball. Well played ball by Francisco in right field. He tracked it down, and he wasn't playing that deep. He didn't think Ozzie Martinez had that kind of power, but he sends him to the warning track with a nice swing.
Here's Coughlin, and for Coughlin, it's been lefty on lefty all night long. 3 at-bats against Cliff Lee, and now he gets Romero. And Romero, notoriously tough on lefties, 174 in his career as a Philly. But this year, lefties 4 for 11 against him. Coughlin pulls it foul.
And Cogs this year so far has struggled against lefties, just 5 for 40. And there are the numbers.
Bonifacio is on deck. Romero in the game for Cliff Lee. Coughlin pulls it foul. Betty in Pembroke Pines. Why is Randy Choate used so very seldom? And Choate is the Marlins lefty specialist. He's a guy that gets lefties out. Righties, not so much. Righties hit over 400.
Yeah, righties over 400. You're going to see him in those key matchups. We saw him in Cincinnati, back-to-back days. We saw him get Ryan Howard the other night.
And your point about Dunn in the 8th inning is a good one. Of course, the Phillies have the 2 left-handed bats in the middle of that lineup. Coughlin's grounder finds Howard's glove, and J.C. Romero works a very uneventful bottom of the 7th. To the 8th, Mike Dunn into the ballgame. Lexus presents leaders of the game. Road winning percentage since 2007. The Phillies have been fantastic. Look at that, 5.57. A lot of those wins have come in this ballpark.
Yeah.
Phillies have won, what, 18 of the last 22 in this ballpark? JM Lexus, price made us #1. Click jmlexus.com to find out how. You see Dunn now.
And this is an important inning. There's no question about it. You have the left-hander in here. You got the switch hitter, Victorino, Polanco, then Howard and Ibanez. And lefties against Mike Dunn hitting 105, just 2 for 19.
Mike Dunn, a guest on Marlins Live tonight. So it's Victorino, Polanco, and Howard for the Phillies in the 8th. You could say this is the tough part of the lineup, but the Phillies have done damage from the mid part on, with Ibanez a double, Schneider a double, a pinch hit double by Orr in the 8 spot. Cliff Lee in the 9 spot had a single. $18,504 here tonight. Just missed.
Good running fastball, 94 from Mike Dunn.
Victorino, the 2-1, cracks it deep to left field. That ball is gone, and the Phillies have tied it. I was just about to say he's 100 points higher from this side of the plate. And of his 6 home runs, 4 have come right-handed.
He usually has more pop right-handed. Showed it there. The ball just snuck out, but he crushed it, and it got over that wall, and it got over that wall in a hurry. So for Victorino, his 6th home run of the year. And we're back to square one.
Now Polanco.
Mike Dunn gave up that big 3-run homer to Lance Berkman in St. Louis.
And those are the only 2 homers he's given up all year. The Berkman homer, and now the Victorino homer. So the 2 guys involved in this pitcher's duel will not figure in the decision. Ricky Nolasco and Cliff Lee. Dunn misses outside, and it's 2-1. The Marlins bullpen is thin right now. Clay Hensley is on the disabled list. Edward Mujica probably not available with the sore knee. Steve Cishek is up, but obviously the guy that doesn't have a lot of major league experience.
Yeah, we saw Cishek a little bit last year.
To right, Stanton, and he makes the catch. And he's certainly not the guy that you're going to put in a ball game like this at this point.
Yeah, with 3 games of major league experience under his belt, 4 1/3 innings.
You've got Burke Badenhop down there. He's more of a long guy. Now Howard with Ibanez behind him.
Yeah, there's something about this ballpark. The Phillies just keep plugging away. You talked about them having won 18 of the last 22 here. And quite honestly, I think it's because they have a lot of fans here. And it almost gives them a feeling of encouragement because there are a lot of Philly fans here. I might add something the Marlins never get on the road.
Well, it's a golden age of Philadelphia baseball right now.
Oh, yeah.
A terrific team. A World Series championship with this group. 2 trips to the World Series. They got to the National League Championship Series last year.
Great new ballpark.
And Philly fans travel well, especially on the eastern seaboard. 3-0 coming. And you got many people who have transplanted from the Philadelphia area down here in Florida. Baden hop starts to loosen. And it's 3-2. Baden hop might be up for Ben Francisco.
Because then you have a couple of righties, Francisco, Sardina, can't pinch hit for him.
Howard pulls it foul. The Marlins pen is thin right now. The Phillies bench is thin because of the injury to Schneider and the 2 pinch hitting appearances by Glode and Orr.
Yeah, Orr is still in the game. So Michael Martinez and John Mayberry Jr. The only guys left on Charlie Manuel's bench. Never can get enough against the Philadelphia Phillies.
Howard has punched out 43 times already this year. 3-2 coming. And he strikes out here.
Make an addendum to that list. Howard's gone down the last 3 times.
He cut down on his strikeouts last year. He struck out only 157 times, and that was down from 191.
That's just a good fastball that he misses. So Mike Dunn able to bounce back after the home run from Victorino, getting Polanco and Howard.
Now Ibanez, who started that 7th, doubling down the right field line against Nolasco, and that got it going for the Phillies. An error by Gabby Sanchez. A pinch hit RBI double by Pete Orr. That drove in the first run. And then Ross Glode, a pinch hit ground ball out, drove in the second. Phillies have tied it here on a Shane Victorino homer to left against Mike Dunn.
Good part of the order coming up for the Fish in the bottom half. Got Bonifacio, Hanley, Gabby Sanchez.
0-1 breaking ball. Dunn has the chopper on to first in time, but the Phillies tie it. Victorino hits his 6th of the season. 3-3.
Stadium, you know, earlier in the year, John Buck was struggling. Tim Cousins, the Marlins catching coordinator, was in town. Buck asked Cuz, "You got a couple hits in you?" Cuz said, "Sure." So Buck went out that night, had 2 base hits. Well, Cousins was then off to his minor league assignment. So Brett Hayes, the Marlins backup catcher, got a picture of Cousins and taped it up in the Marlins dugout on the partition wall right next to where Edwin Rodriguez stands and right next to the chair where John Buck sits during the games. Hayes' rationale is, hey, if Cuz can't be here all the time, which he can't, we can keep him here in spirit, and maybe he'll bring the catchers some good luck. So a little bit of a mini shrine in the Marlins dugout to catching coordinator Tim Cousins. Hopefully he'll bring some luck to John Buck next time up as well. Guys, back up to you in another really good ball game.
Nice touch. Nice touch.
Emilio Bonifacio has singled in 3 trips. Hanley Ramirez, Gabby Sanchez to follow. Kyle Kendrick out of the bullpen for the Phillies.
He's a guy the Marlins have seen over the years. Sinking fastball, slider, and a changeup. Marlins have seen him in a couple of roles out of the bullpen as well as a starter.
He made a spot start last week against the Braves, and he's missed twice now to Bonifacio. That was his last appearance. He went 5 innings, gave up 2 hits, a walk, and had 3 strikeouts. Michael Stutz, Antonio Bastardo. 2-1. Runs outside.
Well, the one thing you hope for, we've seen, now this is a situation, Rich, we've seen a few times where because of his renewed confidence, I think, at the plate, where Bonifacio will be taking, as he was there.
And he draws a walk.
Because he feels comfortable with 2 strikes. So a good job by Bonifacio.
Hanley Ramirez with a couple of hits tonight, and his hit in the first inning got the scoring started against Cliff Lee. Our Coors Light cold hard blast.
No, Hanley's hit the ball well a couple of times. He had a line shot just over the head of the second baseman off of Valdez's glove back in the 6th inning for a base hit.
Kendrick on the mound. Bonifacio with great speed at first. First pitch, Hanley pops it into right field. Francisco comes in and makes the catch.
Oh, you just didn't want to see that. You wanted to see a better swing from Hanley after Kendrick had just walked Bonifacio.
Second straight night here in South Florida. We've had a premier pitching matchup. Last night, of course, Roy Halladay and Josh Johnson. Tonight, Cliff Lee and Ricky Nolasco. Lee went 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs. Nolasco 6 1/3, 2 runs, 1 of them earned.
Have to be real careful here. Kendrick has a quick move, quick feet to first base.
Bonifacio has great speed, but he is not a polished base stealer. Sanchez takes outside. Of course, Gabby Sanchez has played a role in this game. It was his error that helped the Phillies to their first 2 runs. Coming back in the 7th, Shane Victorino tied the game in the 8th with a solo homer.
Yeah, the 2 runs off Ricky, 1 was earned and the other unearned.
Marlins and Phillies have split the first 2 games of this series. The 2 teams played up in Philadelphia. It was a 3-game series. 1 was rained out, and they split those 2 games. And Kendrick, who hasn't pitched since his spot start, has fallen behind at 2-0. Good career numbers. And he doesn't look real sharp right now.
No, he does, and that's why I was really surprised at Hanley's approach in his at-bat.
John Buck on deck.
give the green light to a hot hitter? I don't think so when you have a guy struggling throwing strikes.
Green light, base hit. Bonifacio turns second, and he'll hold right there.
The defining thing there is that you give it to a hot hitter, because you know Gabby's on the ball, seeing the ball well. Another hitter you might not give the green light to. A good job by Gabby. And that sets it up for John Buck.
Rich Doobie on his way out to the mound to talk to Kyle Kendrick. The Phillies, a team that are without some weapons, especially in their bullpen. No Jose Contreras, no Brad Lynch, of course Chase Utley out of their lineup. Carlos Ruiz is close to getting back. The Marlins are without Logan Morrison. They've been without a regular third baseman as well throughout this season.
And as we've mentioned a couple of times tonight, we don't know for a fact, but it looks like Logan Morrison will be ready to go Friday night in Washington.
John Buck now. Buck had an RBI single against Cliff Lee in the 6th. Marlins got the Hanley Ramirez homer in the 1st, and then 2 more in the 6th against Lee. Buck is a free swinger, and Kendrick is struggling. 1-0.
Not able to get ahead. He's fallen behind most of the hitters. He's thrown 11 pitches. 8 have been balls.
Got 2 arms ready in the Phillies bullpen. 1-0 pitch, a chopper to third. Polanco, the turn by Orr in time, and the Phillies get a double play, and Kyle Kendrick gets out of the 8th. On to the 9th here in South Florida. Phillies and Marlins 3-3. Our Home Depot defensive play of the game. For the Marlins, it was this Hanley Ramirez sprawling stop and throwing out a fleet-footed Victorino from his knees. The Home Depot doing more on defense.
Why does it seem, Rich, that Victorino is involved in everything for the Philadelphia Phillies?
It's what he does best.
Yeah, he does.
Ben Francisco, Dane Sardina, and Pete Orr against Leo Nunez here in the 9th. It's a battle of the bullpens right now. Nunez, of course, last night came in and saved the ball game. Needs a perfect 12 of 12 in save opportunities. Obviously, this is not one of those, but
we've seen it a number of times. I want to say 2 or 3 times where Edwin has done this, and a lot of managers do it with their closer.
At home.
At home. First of all, in a tie game, when the inning starts, last inning, you've got to have your closer warming up anyway, in case you take the lead. So Edwin decides, okay, I'm going to get him warmed up. I'm just going to bring him in.
Now Sardina, who came into the ballgame when Schneider pulled his hamstring. How big is that play now? Sardina reached on an error in the 7th. Schneider was rounding third back in the 5th inning and was going to score on a ball that was out in center field, a Cliff Lee line drive hit. And Schneider pulled his hamstring and had to pull up. Sardina has been on base twice now. He dumps that in front of Coghlan. Sardina, once he got on the error, would score in that 7th inning.
A little soft serve out into center field off the end of the bat a little bit.
Hey, congratulations to the Miami Heat, who have dusted off the Boston Celtics in 5 games.
You know, we have some Heat crack staffers out there, and I was told 67 points between LeBron and D. Wade.
Pete Orr's RBI double not only gave the Phillies their 2nd run, but it also knocked Ricky Nolasco out of the ballgame. Ryan Webb would come in and finish the 7th. Mike Dunn pitched the 8th. He gave up the Victorino homer to tie it. One coming. Or hits a pop-up, everybody converging on the wall. And it's beyond the wall. You see Stutz still loosening up in the Phillies pen. Or the fleet-footed Canadian.
Talked about it the other night. He's always given the Marlins fits. He's a career 300 hitter against the Fish.
Hits it well. Stanton goes back and he won't get it. It bounces off the top of the wall. Stanton has it, fires it home. And Pete Orr has his 2nd double of the ball game.
And each time he's hit a double, it's been with 2 strikes on it. So the Marlins haven't been able to put Pete Orr away, and he continues. There's just a hanging, floating changeup. I don't care if it's 1-2, 2-0, whatever. A hitter's going to have a good swing at that pitch. A bad pitch, and Leo Nunez pays.
So Nunez now faces John Mayberry. Infield is in. Mayberry against Nunez. One and 0. 1 out. Rollins is on deck. Gets a strike. 1-1. No one throwing in the Marlins bullpen. One coming. Nunez thought it was a strike. Mayberry checked his swing.
Yeah, he didn't swing. Let's see where the pitch is.
It's low.
Low.
We saw in that Fox tracks the strike that Nunez got looked like it was out of the zone as well. Here's the 2-1. And he may have gotten another break there. Evens the count at 2-2.
They get Charlie chirping over in the Philly bench. They look very similar. Actually, the one before looked like a better pitch.
He hasn't thrown a strike yet this at bat, and the count's 2-2. Now let's see if Nunez can finish him.
Yeah, you still have to make a pitch here, which he wasn't able to do to Pete Orr.
Two coming. Got him with a changeup. He still has to get Rollins, though.
Not an easy task, but a terrific pitch here. Mayberry saw some fastballs, and then with 2 strikes, Foxmo shows you the Leo Nunez changeup, and Mayberry swings over it.
Rollins with runners second and third, 2 outs. Oh for 4 tonight. Nunez against Rollins. Rollins is 0 for 4. Changeup lined into right field. That's a base hit. Stanton has it. Runner coming home. Stanton's throw to the plate. Safe at the plate. Rollins comes through, and the Phillies lead it 5-3.
A good changeup to get Mayberry, a bad changeup to Orr, and a bad changeup to Jimmy Rollins, who was all over it.
Rollins' hit is a big one, but a single by Dane Sardina and a double by Pete Orr hits before Rollins.
And if the Marlins don't rally in the bottom of the 9th inning, this one's going to sting because they let it get away. They had it right there. Bottom part of the lineup is hurt. Victorino's home run, certainly a big one, tied it.
Popped up. Helms makes the catch. Leo Nunez gives up 2 in the 9th. Ryan Madsen coming in to close for the Phillies. Brought to you by Marooney, South Florida. When you need a car, truck, or van, who are you going to call? 1-877-Marooney. By Checkers, little place, big taste. By Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. And by your South Florida Chevy dealers, 1.4-liter turbocharged engine and our 6-speed automatic transmission. The all-new Chevy Cruze. See your local Chevy dealer. 5-3. Look at the runs, the late runs by the Phillies. All 5 runs, 7th inning on. Jimmy Rollins providing the last 2 with a 2-run single in the top of the 9th. The Marlins bullpen has not been good tonight. This guy has been almost untouchable for the Marlins in his career. And having a nice season himself, filling in the back of the bullpen and filling in such a way that, heck, Ryan Madsen, right now, one of the better closers in the National League.
In his career, a 2.51 ERA against the Marlins and a 6-2 record. Terrific fastball and curveball and changeup.
60th career appearance against the Marlins. Stanton leads it off. Mike takes a strike. Brian Peterson is on deck. And then you've got Omar Infante in the pitcher spot. Fish down 2, bottom 9. Had a 94-mile-an-hour fastball to hit. Madsen has a plus fastball and a plus changeup. And there's Peterson. Marlins pen tonight. Mike Dunn giving up the homer to Shane Victorino. Leo Nunez giving up 2 in the 9th. Stanton did not offer.
Stayed off that changeup.
Couldn't stay off that one.
Boy, doubled up on the changeup, which he does often. And that second one was a beauty. Boy, great arm action.
Changeup has been the operative pitch here in the 9th inning. 2 bad ones from Nunez that ended up in right field. One the Rollins hit, the other the Orr double. And Madsen striking out Stanton. And here is Peterson. He takes down low. At bat's tough to come by for Petey. Letter high strike. He has a walk in 4 plate appearances.
Brian Peterson had a tough go of it last year. His spurts of time up here, just 2 for 24. Never really getting that opportunity to get consistent at bats.
Count 1-2. And against left-handed hitters, Madsen has that changeup, which is a real equalizer. Stayed with a fastball. Marlins were rolling a 3-0 lead going into the 7th inning.
Remember, too, they had a wobbling Kyle Kendrick out there in the 8th. He walked the leadoff man. Hanley swung the first pitch and fly it out, but then Gabby Sanchez singled. And first and second, but they got a big double play off the bat of John Buck.
Two-two changeup, and Madsen has struck out the first two he's faced.
You know, you think of all the things, and certainly Madsen is a part of it. We've talked about how the Phillies have played so well against the Marlins here. Because of his success, he's part of it. Because of the way he's pitched against the Marlins. They get a lead. A lot of times he's coming in 7th or 8th inning. And it's been pretty much lights out.
So when Lidge comes back, is he automatically the closer?
It depends on how Lidge is throwing. And how Madsen's throwing.
He's throwing pretty well right now.
12 for 12 in saves. You're not going to take him out of that role.
He's an out away from going 5 for 5. And he's only given up a run in one of his appearances this year. Infante pounds it into the ground, and now Madsen is ahead 1-2. Greg Dobbs hoping to get it at bat. One-two coming. Two in the air to left field. Ibanez and the Phillies come from behind, beat the Marlins, and take this series. Ryan Madsen saves it. 5 of 5 in save opportunities is the tall right-hander. Jimmy Rollins with the game winner, drove in 2, but the 2 big hits for the Phillies, an unlikely source. Our checkers doubles of the game. Pete Orr, that was an RBI double in the 7th, and then in the 9th, with a game tied and a runner at first, or off of Leo Nunez. That set up the Rollins at bat, and of course Rollins would drive in 2, and that's all she wrote. 5-3, the Phillies beat the Marlins. Marlins Live coming up. Homestand over, series over. Jimmy Rollins walks off a hero once again.